Hi guys, and welcome to our first flipped video lesson. So the awesome part of doing flipped video lessons is that you can take me home with you and listen to this lesson outside of school. So today we're doing the Greek philosophers. So we're going to talk about one group and three people. And I want you to treat this just like you would if we were going through class and writing down notes. So, of course, first thing you have is the guided question. So this is our guided question that I would like you to write down. What ideas did the Greeks develop to explain the world around them? So you're going to see this again. So if you don't want to write it down now and you want to wait till you learn everything to write it down and answer, that is fine too. So this is Plato, Socrates, and Aristotle. They are our three main Greek philosophers. These are their sculptors with their beards and their no eyes. They don't have eyes. It's fine. All right, moving on. The Sophists is our first group we're going to talk about. So many philosophers, they're teachers. Yay, teachers. A group of philosophers known as the Sophists traveled from polis to polis in ancient Greek. You should know what a polis is. And I'm not going to tell you because, again, you should know. If you don't know, look it up. It was a vocab word. They made a living by teaching. So making a living by teaching, that's how they worked, basically. They were working as teachers. They taught many subjects, math, science, history. However, most important, they are best known for teaching rhetoric, the art of public speaking and debate. Sophists did not believe that the gods influence human actions. So you should have talked about before that people believed it was God's doing, that people did this and that. But Sophists did not believe that. They also did not believe in an absolute right or wrong. For the Sophists, a way of life that was right for one person might be wrong for another. So the Sophists not only challenged Greek traditions, but they also accepted money for teaching. People did not like that. Other Greek philosophies, again, like I said, did not approve of it, did not like it. Many Greeks also thought that the Sophists lacked ideas and values because they were thought to teach their students to win arguments rather than seek truth. All right, if you need to pause, go ahead. You can pause right now to write down, just like in class, the highlighted blue in your own words. You don't have to type it down word for word. So now would be the time to pause and finish up taking any notes that you might need. Moving on. Socrates is going to be our first individual philosopher from ancient Greek. He was originally a sculptor. He lived in Athens and spent most of his time teaching, but he did not write about his own beliefs. He spoke to people as more oral teachings rather than the written teachings. So what we know about Socrates is from his students. So his students were writing stuff down. He didn't. Socrates believed in an absolute truth, unlike the Sophists. And Socrates created new ways of questioning called the Socratic method. Very important. That's why it's bolded. It's also a vocabulary word. This is a method of using pointed questions and waiting for the students to respond. So some Athenian leaders did not really like the Socratic method and Socrates' teachings. They're very uneasy ever since Athens lost the Peloponnesian War. That was the war against Sparta. Its new rulers therefore limited freedom and no longer trusted open debates. In 399 BC, city leaders arrested Socrates. They charged that he had urged young people to rebel against the government, and he had a trial. And a jury found Socrates guilty and sentenced him to death. Now, if you have questions about this, do not worry. We will get to this later in the week. We'll do a whole activity on the trial of Socrates. So just be patient. We will get there. Do not worry. So again, you need to pause, write down the blue in your own words. You may do so now. Moving on. Plato. Plato was one of Socrates' students. Plato, with a T, not a D, Plato became a teacher and founded a school in Athens called the Academy. But he recorded all his ideas down himself, and one of his famous works of writing is called the Republic. So the Republic he organized society into three groups. You have the top, philosopher kings, warriors were in the middle, and the third group included the rest of the people. So basically, he was saying people at the top they have wisdom, the warriors, they're courageous, and everyone else is just there to produce food, clothing, and shelter for society. So you can do that kind of bullet point in one of two ways. You can make your own little diagram or chart about the three groups in society, or you can just bullet point that and write down your notes. It's up to you. In the Republic, so that writing of Plato's, Plato noted his dislike of Athenian democracy, so he believed philosopher kings would place the needs of the community ahead of their own needs. So do what's best, be wise, and do what's best for people rather than themselves. So go ahead and pause if you need to. Moving on. Aristotle will be our last Greek philosopher we talk about today. There's his sculpture again. In 335 BC, Aristotle's going to found a school called the Lyceum. At this school, he taught his students the golden mean. The mean is the middle position between two extremes. So he's saying that people should not have too much or too little, live moderately. So the example I use here is should not eat too much or too little. But this can apply to anything. You shouldn't have too much money. You shouldn't have too much property. So that's what he was kind of teaching. Like Aristotle also wrote about government. Yay, government. He studied and compared the governments of different city-states and hoped to find the best political system. He wrote a book called Politics, and he talks about the three types of government, which you should already be familiar with because we have talked about it. So, monarchy, you got that. Oligarchy, we've talked about that. And democracy, we have definitely talked about that. So, Aristotle believed the best government had features of all three of these types. A chief executive would serve as head of the state, and a council or legislator would assist this leader and be supported by the people. Sound familiar? So Aristotle's ideas influenced the way Europeans and Americans taught about government. The authors of the United States Constitution, like Aristotle, believe that no one person or group should have too much power. That's why it is believed we have the three branches of government. We're not giving all power to one person or one branch, just like Aristotle argued for in his book Politics. So if you need a pause and write down notes, you may do so now. All right, moving on. Main ideas, you can write these down. You don't have to write these down. It's kind of just summing up what we talked about. So philosophy, love of wisdom. They're thinking about life. They're questioning government. We have public speaking and debate by the sophists. Socrates was talking about absolute truth and asking questions to find answers. And Plato and Aristotle were thinking about science and government, and they are going to influence our society today. So that's what the main takeaways I want you to get from this video. So here's the guided question again, so you should be able to answer it. What ideas did the Greeks develop to explain the world around them? So go ahead, answer that. And if you have any questions regarding this video or anything that we talked about, go ahead and write that down on the bottom of your notes as well, and we can talk about it in class when I see you tomorrow. So make sure you have this down. You can always go back, restart the video if needed. And if you have any questions, again, let me know. See you tomorrow, guys.